Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today we have to talk about the nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen is very important macronutrient. It is required in a higher amount by the plants, and totally the plants' growth is dependent very much on the nitrogen. It is a part of all living cells and is a necessary part of the protein, enzymes, and metabolic process involved in the synthesis and transfer of energy. Nitrogen is a part of chlorophyll, which is a key part to produce food and nutrition uh, through photosynthesis. The green pigment of the plant that is responsible for photosynthesis helps plants with rapid growth, have rapid vegetative growth, especially increasing seed and fruit production. Of course, if you have a good vegetative growth, then it will impact on the seed and fruit production and improve the quality of leaf and forage crops. So because it is a part of the proteins, and if we have a fodder, it will have a directly impact on the fodder quality. And of course, if we are uh, using that fodder for the animals, so that will improve the animal nutrition. So generally, as a fertilizer, if we use in the soil, so it has a very clear and obvious impact on the growth, especially the vegetative growth of the plants. So as you increase the nitrogen is fertilizer, the vegetative growth is increased uh, up to a certain level. But then if you add more, the vegetative growth will also decrease. It means the nitrogen may have some toxic effects as well if it's supplied in higher amounts. Higher amounts mean the more than the optimum. So every step we have also yield increment. If you are adding a certain amount of fertilizer, so there should be economic yield increment for that. Economic yield increment, in a simple way, we can say that if you are adding a fertilizer of 100 rupee, so that must give the benefit of more than 100. So if you are adding fertilizer costing 100 rupee, but there is a yield increment, but that yield is only of for 70 rupees or 80 rupees, so that is not economical. So we don't have to go for the maximum yield, but we have to go for the economical yield when we are talking about agriculture production. So if we have a increased supply of nitrogen, so there is a delay in senescence. The maturity will be delayed, the ripening will be delayed, the growth will of course increase, dry matter content will also increase, uh, leaf enhances leaf length and area, but reduces the leaf thickness. As the growth is increasing, the leaf area will increase, but the thickness will decrease, which will allow the insects and pests uh, to attack on that plant, because it means that leaf is more prone to diseases. Enhances shoot root ratio. It means shoot will growth will be more and root will be less, and that will cause a imbalance in shoot and root and weaken the plant establishment. In cereal, if you have more nitrogen supply, so it will elongate the stem, and that will also cause lodging. So in shoot root ratio, imbalanced shoot root ratio or enhanced shoot root ratio, there are also chances of lodging, and in cereal especially, so there are great chances of lodging because there is a elongation in the stem. If you have a suboptimal or deficient nitrogen supply, of course, there will be less growth, yield will be less, senescence will be earlier because the plant will try to complete its life cycle as early as possible, and there will be also some kind of mobility of the nutrients from lower to the upper part. And then the leaf chlorosis, you will see the uh, uh, yellowish color of the leaves, and which can lead to the necrosis and the complete death of the plant. if we have a severe deficiency of nitrogen. So nitrogen is present in the biosphere, and we know that there is a huge quantity in the atmosphere in the form of molecular N2. Then we have volatile in the form of ammonia gas and NOxes. NOx means the nitric oxide and nitrous oxides. Then we have mineral, that is nitrate and ammonium, which is the favorable form of the plants to be taken up. Then we have also organic nitrogen in the form of amino acid peptides, and urea is of course an organic nitrogen source. So we have these sources available in our system. So if you simplify the nitrogen cycle, you can see here that we are getting nitrogen from the atmosphere, from the animal manure, and from the crop residues, from the fertilizers, of course, and then that is being taken up by the plants, and the excess amount or unfavorable condition in the soil can lose some of the nitrogen into the atmosphere. So we will talk about this in detail in the following slides. So there are few processes in the nitrogen cycle. For example, the one is the mineralization. The organic nitrogen is converted to inorganic nitrogen. We know that the plants, they like to take nitrogen in inorganic form. So whatever we are adding in the form of animal manure, crop residues, or even the microbial mass, which is in the soil. So that cannot be directly taken up by the plants, but that must be converted into inorganic N. So this process is called mineralization, and you can clearly see in the nitrogen cycle as well. What happens actually, the proteins we know the proteins are the major source of nitrogen and organic matter. So the microorganisms, they act on that, and that they convert protein into ammonium. So that is organic, and this one is inorganic, and this is called as mineralization. This is organic N, and in inorganic we have both forms, ammonium as well as nitrate. So both are inorganic form of nitrogen in the soil. If you just simplify the mineralization, or if you just divide it into different steps. So in the first step, the protein is converted to amides. That's from amino acid. The microorganisms will act on protein, and they will convert into amides, and these amides will further be converted to ammonium. And if you just see the nomenclature, this is ammonization, conversion of protein to amides through, of course, through microorganism, and conversion of amino acids and other N-containing compounds into ammonium form of nitrogen is ammonification. So you can see here that there's ammonification, the conversion from organic N to ammonium. तो कोई भी ऑर्गेनिक फॉर्म ऑफ नाइट्रोजन आपकी सॉइल के अंदर है, सो उसकी कन्वर्जन जब अमोनियम में होगी, तो दैट प्रोसेस इज कॉल्ड अमोनिफिकेशन. So what is the fate of that ammonium which is produced here by ammonification of, or you can say the mineralization? So that can be taken up by the plants, and the microorganism present in the soil, it can be absorbed on the exchange complex because it has a positive charge and the soil has a negative charge. Can be fixed by 2-to-1 type clay minerals, just like potassium. They can be fixed into the minerals, so they are slowly available. Some ammonium can be lost as ammonia through volatilization. So ammonium can be lost into atmosphere through ammonia. Ammonia gas, if you have some microbes which convert ammonium into the ammonia gas. And of course, that can be nitrified. So ammonium can be converted to nitrate, so which is called as nitrification. So what is this actually? Nitrification conversion process in which nitrifying bacteria convert ammonium into nitrate. So that is called as a nitrification process. And this is generally in two steps. In first step, the nitrosomonas, they convert ammonium into nitrite, and then nitrite is converted through nitrobacter into nitrate. So this is very important to know here, that this nitrite must not stay longer in the soil because it is very toxic to the plants. So it means if you don't have a nitrobacter which convert nitrate into nitrate, so there will be nitrate toxicity. Because we must have the both kind of microorganism in the soil. For this nitrification, we have optimum temperature 25 to 35, pH is wider 5.5 to 8, and the side effects may be we are releasing here H ions, so there may be some kind of soil acidification process, and especially if you have alkaline soils and you are releasing some kind of these protons, so there will be some transit acidification effects. And then here you can also see the ammonium is converted into the nitrate. Now, what is the fate of nitrate here? So nitrate can be taken up by the plants and microbe as ammonium. That can be leached on because it has a negative charge. It cannot make complex with the soil particles. So if you have a nitrate in the soil and you have plenty of water, and that nitrate is soluble and can be leached on along with water, so that will go out from the root zone and will not be available to the plants. And then we have also denitrification under anaerobic condition. If you don't have oxygen in the soil, so the microbes, they need oxygen, so they will get nitrogen from this NO3. So what will happen? It means if they get an oxygen from nitrate NO3, so it means this oxygen will be removed and some other product will be developed, which is in general gases, So we will see. The denitrification microbially facilitated process of dissimilatory nitrate reduction that may ultimately produce N2. So this is a process: nitrate into nitrite, nitrite into nitric oxide, then nitric oxide into nitrous oxide, which is a gas and which is a very environment threatening gas because it has a very high global warming impact, up to 300 times more than that of carbon dioxide. And then this nitrous oxide can be converted to N2 as well and can be removed or eliminated into the atmosphere. So of course they need high moisture to have anaerobic conditions, impaired soil aeration. There is no air in the soil. Optimum temperature 5 to 75. This is a very wide range. So it means in cold and warm temperature that can work. Optimum pH is also a bit wider, 6 to 8. And of course, if you have a high nitrate in the soil, so that is a substrate for this denitrification. So you can see here that the nitrate is denitrified into the atmosphere in the form of nitrous oxide or in the form of nitrogen, the molecular nitrogen gas. So another loss which we have from this ammonium, so that is in the form of ammonium volatilization. If we have high pH especially and high temperature, and you have low binding capacity in the soil, means your soil is rich with ions, especially if we have calcareous soil, the most of the negative sides, so they are already filled. So if you don't have a binding capacity of ammonium, and you have a livestock husbandry or you have a urea supply, because the urea is directly converted into ammonia gas. So that process is called as volatilization, the conversion from ammonical nitrogen into the gaseous form in the form of ammonia. So that is volatilization. You can see here, if you are adding through urea or through urine, the ammonium is converted through urease uh, into the ammonia gas. So this ammonium is basically from the urea, and this urease enzyme that work on that and convert into ammonia gas. So it means this ammonical form is present in the urea, which is being utilized to be converted into ammonia gas, and which is uh, escaped into the atmosphere. So we have another reverse process, that is immobilization. Mean if you have inorganic nitrogen in the soil, that is in the form of ammonium or in the form of nitrate, that can also be converted to organic form. And that organic form are the plant residues, the microbes, and the animals in the soil. So they just utilize that inorganic nitrogen and they convert it into organic. So this process is called as immobilization. Uh, we have another aspect, if we just see here, this is the nitrogen fixation. So the nitrogen fixation is by the microbes, and they are in rhizobia in the form of nodules with the symbiotic association, and they take nitrogen, ammonia, molecular nitrogen from the atmosphere. They have some enzymes. They convert it into ammonia first. This is inside the microbial and plant association, and then ammonium is converted to ammonia, and that ammonia is basically utilized by the plants, because the plant don't have a system to use ammonia gas as such. So that is produced here first in the preface of microbes and the plants, and then it's converted to ammonia and taken up by the plant. We have also different species with different plants, and they have different capacity to fix nitrogen. For example, if we have alfalfa, the rhizobial species working with alfalfa, that can fix 100 kilogram nitrogen per acre per year. The microbial or rhizobial species, soybean, can fix 50 kilogram per acre per year, and the beans, that is relatively less, that is 20 kilogram per acre per year. But of course, this is very strong contribution to the soil. So we have also non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation, which is not in symbiosis or in relation with the plants. They are free-living microbes. So they are using the nitrogen from the atmosphere, that is becoming the part of their body, and then that is decomposed and then is utilized by the plants in the form of inorganic nitrogen. So they are also bacteria, actinomycetes, and green algae. So they are the major source of that. And they can fix from 2 to 25 kilogram nitrogen per acre per year. So they have also good capacity, but of course, if we have a symbiotic, so that has a relatively higher capacity to fix nitrogen. So coming toward the nitrogen gains, so we have this, of course, the biological nitrogen fixation. We have another factor, or gain of nitrogen from the atmosphere when there is a lightning. So lightning can break the nitrogen bond N2, and then this N2 is converted into inorganic form, and then along with water, that is added to the soil. So this is around about 2 kilogram per acre per year on average. So, but it depends on that what is the frequency of this lightning in that area. So there are two gains. The third one, that is the industrial fixation. We are producing urea from taking nitrogen from the atmosphere in the form of fertilizer. So then we have also the organic source, which is the crop residues. which also add nitrogen to the soil. So the losses, if you just look at the losses, the crop removal, you have nitrogen being taken up by the plants from the soil, and you remove that from the field. So it means that is you are taking away from that soil. We have ammonia volatilization. Uh, we have a denitrification, N2O and N2. We have nitrate leaching. We have ammonium fixation if it's fixed into the soil particles, especially the 2 to 1 clay mineral. So it is not easily available to the plant. So transitly, that is also a loss. Immobilization, if the plant's roots are the microbes, they take nitrogen and they convert into organic form. So they are also uh, converting inorganic to organic, which is not a plant available form. But this is also transit, because in the end they will be decomposed, and the nitrogen release can be taken up by the plants. So coming toward the balance sheet, we have losses, crop removal, leaching, volatilization, denitrification, immobilization, fixation by the clay minerals. We have gains, biological nitrogen fixation. We have industrial fixation, the form of fertilizer. We have crop residues. We have animal manures and electrical discharge. So they are contributing to nitrogen into the soil. So this is our balance sheet. And nitrogen is more important as compared to other, if we talk about the animal and human nutrition, because animal and humans, they cannot use inorganic nitrogen. So they must take in plenty and must take in organic form. So the plants, they are responsible for converting inorganic nitrogen into organic, and this organic is being utilized by the plant. All other elements can be utilized in inorganic. Phosphorus, potassium, zinc, iron can be utilized by the plants in inorganic form. But animals and humans, they don't have any mechanism to take inorganic. You cannot eat urea. You cannot eat ammonium. You cannot eat ammonium nitrate, but you can eat proteins, which are rich source of nitrogen. So that was all about nitrogen cycle. So thank you very much.